He thought he was in control. How wrong he was.
Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club.
From the deepest corner of the darkest universe, two brave hosts battle through nameless hordes of ghoulish monsters most foul, all to bring you the eternal glory of the Dark Side Drive-In.
It's the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another horrifying, spookifying, small-town vampires, horrifying, bloodifying episode of the Dark Side Drive-In Intermissions. I'm here with your hosts with government-permitted amount of ghosts. Stefan. Hey, thanks, Darkside Dave. I wanted to make sure that you didn't make it seem like we weren't inside of local government regulations for number of ghosts you can have in one location. Yes, and also Shane.
So we have a similar but legally distinct amount of ghosts, right? Is that what?
I have to check the local ordinances. You see, some places have to abide by federal number of ghosts, but certain municipalities have a specific number of ghosts. It's called a ghost bag limit. Because you hunt ghosts, get it? You're like ghost hunters.
So Dave, I heard that you've been ridding the universe of the Xenos scum
I've
recently.
been playing Space Marine 2 of Warhammer 40,000. It's really cool because being an immortal extra-dimensional creature, I will live to see the year 40,000. You'll be all rotting in the ground unless I resurrect you as one of my own ghouls. Oh, Dave, you wouldn't do that after all these years? I've only known you for several months. Oh, no. That's true. We haven't known each other that long.
But we've grown so close.
We have. I consider you like my own great-grandchildren. Anyways, I need to stop talking because I'm losing my voice because I'm yelling at my other ghoulish thralls all the time. I am a terrible taskmaster to them. Bye. Yeah, that's a bummer about him losing his voice. I didn't even know that could happen.
That is a bummer.
I didn't think he even had vocal cords.
Episode.
Yeah, we thought we'd have him the whole time this time. Yeah, it is funny how he can lose his voice when he doesn't even have vocal cords. That's crazy. Don't question the science or the supernatural stuff. Whatever. Bye.
If you did like cooking recipes with Darkside Dave, and he would just read off recipes.
Would it be like those websites where people talk about recipes and it's like mostly a creative writing exercise?
Yeah, they don't actually ever tell you how to make the food.
Yeah, it's like, you just tell me the number of things to do and how to do them so I can make the food.
Could you just quantize this for me?
I'm really glad to hear that we're within our federal and or local municipality permission level of, spirits. I was super worried. I mean, how embarrassing it would be if you had too many ghosts.
I know. And who comes and tells you?
Probably, remember that from Ghostbusters, that guy who worked for the EPA that tried to shut them down?
Yes.
That's actually, he now has to do that because that's his punishment. So now, after having not believed in ghosts, now he has to like constantly report on the number of ghosts people have.
Now he only believes in ghosts.
Mm-hmm. And he hates it because every time he goes to someone's house, they're like, it's true, this man has no dick. It's like, stop it. Bill Murray made that joke years ago. Stop making the joke. It's like, can't do it, dude. It's now part of your life.
What a classic.
Well, anyways, what are we doing here, Shane, for a Dark Side Intermission? How's a Dark Side Drive-In Intermission different from a Dark Side Drive-In regular episode?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because we did have some new listeners pop up, new followers. Thank you all. I feel like we started this show as covering just kind of schlocky horror movies that we loved from the 80s, sometimes 70s, and sometimes 90s. And as we got into the show more, we felt like we want to talk about different things, but at the same time, I don't think anyone wants to sit through like a 5-hour podcast. And we thought, hey, why don't we do like you're at the drive-in, like let's do like an intermission, between movies. And that was kind of our thing. So we kind of use these episodes to kind of say what's going on with the channel, get into maybe stuff that we're doing on the side, and we usually have like 1 or 2 segments that we like to do. Maybe from stuff that aren't from the 80s, sometimes 70s, and sometimes 90s. Which today I think that might fit the bill. Kind of, it's like both.
Yeah. So. Hey, what I needed was an intermission from that description of what an intermission is. My God.
Wow.
You really drug that thing out.
Well, look, we need to let people know what we're doing. Cause anyways, whatever.
Well, I would probably describe it a little more succinctly. Like instead of the regular Dark Side Drive-In episodes where we cover a specific movie and do a deep dive on that, this is where we just do whatever we want and probably a horror bent to it, but it's just whatever we feel like doing. See how succinct that was?
So I'm just going to get in house creeping if
I'm done haranguing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll permit you to get to our first segment, house creeping.
House creeping.
One house.
So news from the channel, we have moved forward with some merch ideas. So I know we talked about it and then kind of stopped talking about it. So legitimately you will see merch coming soon. I know that was something that people have messaged me about. We also are still going strong on the other channels. AGB still streams Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I think he's doing all horror, or at least one night a week is horror for the holidays. So the Salem season. So, check him out on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_AGB. And then Low-Key Arcade, we're still posting stuff weekly, or we might have 2 videos a week here and there. And the plan is to do more horror content this month. So we'll probably be pumping out a lot of spooky stuff. So we know you all love the spooky stuff. So go ahead, check out the Low-Key Arcade at youtube.com/ and there's a bunch of numbers after it. Just it's the space low-key is one word and then arcade. I think that's kind of all that we've got cooking. Everything else is still business as usual. All our stuff here. We have been talking about moving to video podcasts, which I'm pretty excited about.
It's going to be terrible.
I don't think we're going to switch at first, like fully. I have some plans. So you might see some TikTok and Instagram reels. So stay peeled for that.
Stay peeled.
Stay peeled. Stay peeled. So that's all I had for house creeping. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to.
Merchandise is going to happen.
It really is. So
I believe it when I see it.
I have a hoodie designed. I have 2 t-shirts designed. I have a hat designed. And then I also, for people in the Pittsburgh area, I'm working on securing a local supplier for t-shirts. So if we go to like any sort of like events, conventions, or anything like that, we'll have stuff on us. I also, and this is probably news to you, Stefan, because I forgot about it until right now.
What?
I've also talked with an artist who's also a listener of the show who is interested in doing some stuff for us, so some shirt designs. So a little more like, he's a really awesome artist. I don't want to blow him up yet. It's like, I don't want to, put his stuff out without him saying he's cool with everything. So I'll wait to talk with him, but he actually makes Halloween masks. So he's a sculptor. So he actually makes the negative. So he like sculpts the face of the monster's face or whatever he's making. Then he creates the mold, and then he creates the masks. And he's done stuff all through the city. He's worked at Fright Nights at Kennywood. He does all the horror cons where he used to. And knows a lot about special effects and stuff. And I do lean on him sometimes with like questions about things, because he's really in tune with that world. And he's even offered to come on the show sometimes too. So if we ever get to that point where we start bringing on guests to interview them stuff, I think he'd be a good addition. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited for his take on some things, because he's already told me some ideas he has. I don't want to spoil them, but Stephanie, you're gonna probably buy 2 of them. They're pretty wild, and he is not afraid of gore. So it's kind of nice too. Like, I think you should support local artists and stuff. And
It's
local
true.
businesses.
Yeah, it's also true. Speaking of supporting local artists, shout out to Rebel Revolver for our theme song, which rules. And if you check out their socials, their Facebook, Instagram, all that, they did just announce a few shows coming up for late October and early November if you're in the Pittsburgh area, with the possibility of some more that they say have yet to be announced for the dates, but maybe also coming up in the near future. So yeah, get the details on those, their socials. I'm pretty sure they announced 4. The first one is the 23rd of October. So, a couple weeks, but like get the word out early, try to show up to support them, because they've supported us quite a bit. So there you go.
Yeah, all really good guys. And then drummer of the band, PC Riley, has a book out. It all comes out in the wash. You can find it on Amazon, and I believe it's digital. 50 or so, half of the proceeds, 50% of the proceeds go to the Pittsburgh Humane Society. So sorry, I don't know.
I'm just laughing at you, like just
My brain shut off for like 2
Yeah,
seconds.
trying to
I'm like,
figure
what
out-
am I saying?
So 50%. Wait, is that what half is?
Yeah, like literally, I'm like, wait a minute, holy shit, have I been wrong my whole life?
No,
It's like one of those moments where you do something so like routinely and often that in the midst of you saying it, your brain, it's like when you drive for a long time and then you forget driving there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I don't know, you've ever driven somewhere like for work, like commute, and your brain just shuts off, and then you're like, wait a
I
minute.
guess so. Working from home, I don't know that it, like,
Yeah, right.
Have
you ever driven from your living room to your kitchen? So,
straight
anyways,
through it,
straight through, just drive a car through a building.
through the 3rd floor of my building.
Anyways,
Back to
yeah.
PC Riley's thing. Yeah, 50% of the
So
proceeds go
half
to the Humane
or
Society.
50%,
Either one. Yeah.
whatever unit of measure you'd like to
Milliliters
use,
only, please.
Yeah, milliliter. Yeah, 1,250 milliliters of the profits will go to the Humane Society of Pittsburgh.
Man, I know this is a free plug, but you botched that so thoroughly that
I know.
don't know if he would rather you just didn't do it. Like,
I brought it around. He'll laugh, I think. I don't know. We'll see.
we'll find out. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, check it out. He's a good friend of the show. Great drummer.
Well, he was until you like messed up his plug. Now
Yeah, right.
we'll find
He's
out.
like-
He'll
he's
return our calls now.
He's just gonna hate tweet us. Like Instagram. I'm probably just gonna get like a Facebook message. You son of a bitch. Anyways, yeah. Yeah, but check it out. It's a good cause. So
Yeah, it all comes out in the wash. Amazon, get it. There you go. We did it.
yeah.
All right. Now we're just going to stick the landing and move on to our next segment, which is a little something that Shane likes to call
The Terrible 20.
I don't even feel bad for what's gonna happen now. So
What, did you pick a really hard one? You
No.
monster.
you monster. I should pick one that's been remade like 5 times, because I know you probably have seen all 5 of them.
I feel like I don't know if that's a compliment or an attack, but yes, I do watch.
No, it's a compliment, but I think it'd be hard for you to other than narrowing down the year, like which one you would go to. But
on our way to the trip that we had taken this past weekend, and if anyone wants to know why my voice kind of sounds messed up, that's because I talked too much this weekend instead of spending most of my weekends in mostly solitude. So, yeah, my voice has kind of gone out. But when we were on the way down, we just popped by one of the local exchanges, and I got Xbox 360 versions of Left 4 Dead 1 and
oh, no way.
Halo 3. But another thing was this one dude had set up this like display of various DVDs and Blu-rays of Halloween movies, and there was banger after certified banger on that list. It was like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, the Blob remake. Like every movie was just one. I was like, Lair of the White Worm was there. I was like, oh, hey, these are all, I love these movies. And the guy who set it up was the one who was there, and he was just beaming with pride at watching me nerd out over his display. And I was like, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna have to purchase all of these movies, even though I could just watch all of them on Tubi like right now.
Hey, quick question. Did you plug the podcast?
I didn't. You know, I'm terrible.
Oh my God, dude.
I'm terrible at marketing.
That's so funny. Nah, I think it's funny.
Well, speaking of embarrassing things, what's this terrible 20 going to be like for me?
I think it's going to be, we're going to laugh, or I'm going to laugh. One of us will laugh, or at least 22 of you might laugh. I feel like one person will feel good about this, and it's probably going to be me.
I was thinking more like you could explain what the terrible 20 is.
Oh, I'm getting there. Don't worry. I'm a rambling man tonight.
Apparently.
You know? Lord, I was born a rambling man. But
offline, you were talking about how tired you were and you wouldn't stop yawning, and then suddenly we start up and you're just like all over the place.
I ripped an Allegra. I'm ready to roll.
I don't know enough about Allegras to know if that's how they work.
So many histamines. Anyways, so the terrible 20s is our 20 questions light or like, however you want to go about it. Where we try to stump the man, the myth, the legend, Stefan himself. And, you know, I think we're just going to get right into this one. So I know, Stefan, you've got a bunch of questions on the top of your mind, but I've got one for you.
What is it?
Are you ready?
I'm the readiest I've ever been.
Insert dramatic music.
Just like the really loud, like, yeah, the
Let's do the Inception bomb. Just like randomly. Like throughout the episode.
Really keep people on their toes.
Like offensively.
Well, okay, I guess we'll start. Let's try to narrow down this if it's got a subgenre to it. So is it comedy horror?
No.
Is it a creature feature?
No.
Okay. Is it a slasher?
No.
Okay. I know better than to ask if there are supernatural elements.
There isn't.
Okay, so we'll just say no.
We won't count that though. You're good.
No, we can count it. Yeah. Are there any supernatural elements? No.
No.
Maybe in my notes I don't put supernatural laments.
Oh, there's those.
Well, I know that it's not going to be Hellraiser because you already said no to supernatural, and no one's going to make the argument that demons summoned by a puzzle box are not supernatural. I'm sorry.
That's like literally my brain. That's like that is supernatural. Like that's the thing I'd be like, yes, this is supernatural.
All right. Well, I am exactly nowhere with the subgenre. This is going well. Is it found footage by chance?
No.
Is it like psychological horror?
No.
Oh, thank God.
Well, no.
We already asked about supernatural, so there are no ghosts. It's not a creature feature. Is there like a natural disaster element to it?
No.
So there's no conflict in this movie.
I'd go for a year. When you try that?
Sure. Is it from the post 9/11 world?
Yes.
Okay. Is it from the last 10 years?
No.
Okay. It's not a creature feature, so it can't be that. Is it by chance a remake?
No.
No. All right, well, I can recap the answers here just because that's 10. So horror comedy was no, creature feature was no, slasher was no, supernatural elements was no, found footage was no, psychological horror was no, natural disaster was no, post 9/11 was yes, last 10 years was no, and remake was no. So it has to be within between 2001 in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a remake, not a slasher, not anything of any interest. Not found footage either. Is there like any sci-fi elements to it?
No.
I'm starting to find it hard to believe that this is a movie.
Me too.
Because literally everything I've brought up, you are like, no. So, unless you slid in a non-horror movie, like, is it Moana or something? Like,
Busted.
that's not a real question.
Guilty.
That's not a real question.
It was Moana.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
You're welcome.
Is it an adaptation of anything?
No.
Are there murders in it?
Yes.
All right, we're getting somewhere. Something happens. Is it like folk horror?
No.
All right, we're 14 in and still have no idea what this is supposed to be. Is it part of a franchise by chance?
Yes.
Ridiculous. I don't believe you. There's no way there's a franchise that has none of these things.
That's what I say every day.
Well, no, never mind. You said it wasn't a slasher, so it can't be that. I don't know, man. We might be coming to an end here. I don't think that there's anything more I can really ask. I met with one roadblock after another here.
Do you want a hint? Do you want a good hint or like just a normal level hint?
Just a normal level hint is fine. Anything to point me in a direction would be nice.
So this does have a subgenre. Of that subgenre, I would say this was one of the like pioneers. Or, well, I don't say pioneers. This kind of revitalized this like subgenre. But like when you would say this subgenre, this is like the movie, this and the one other one are like the movies you would talk about from this era.
So what subgenres haven't I gotten yet? Hold on. Is it a zombie movie?
No.
Is it body horror?
Yeah, kinda.
I feel like body horror is like the least subtle of genres, so I don't feel like it can kind of be body horror.
It's not like listed as that, but I would say I would consider it body horror. It's not. I don't think it's like to that. Like, I don't think it's like the poster child of body horror, but I would say body horror adjacent. Unless I'm an idiot. Hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna go with it. I think it's. I would say it's not. I'm gonna stick with my answer.
It was kind of.
Yeah, it's not like a Cronenberg level, but it like I would. It's near it.
It's part of a franchise. Is there a disease in it?
No.
All right, well, it's 18, so I have two
Okay.
more questions, and then that's it.
So yeah, because your 20th has to be you guess the movie. So ask one more, and then I'll give you another hint. Like, you're gonna be so pissed.
I am. I'm already pissed. This is like useless. There's nothing that's helped me at all so far, basically.
All right, so we know it's a series. There's some form of body horror in it.
Sure, maybe.
And your other hint was this kind of somewhat revitalized this style of movie, like genre of their sub genre. It's not body horror, but very close. Or do you want the hint now?
I don't know, man.
I'll give you the hint now. You hate this series.
Oh, then it's Saw.
Is that your
Oh no.
Is that your final guess?
Well, there's two. It could be Saw or it could be Hostel. I hate them both.
So you have two questions left.
Are there complicated Rube Goldberg traps involved?
Yes.
Is it Saw?
Yes.
Oh my god.
2004 apparently hit movie according to Money. Saw.
What type of movie did it revitalize?
Splatter horror.
I've never really considered it to be splatter.
That's what it's billed as. That's what I said. It well, and then now it's like a puzzle horror because I don't know. That's why this movie's not good.
Porn.
I agree with you. I think it is torture porn. And the reason I bring it up, just to keep it in front of everyone's mind, that we were going into a knockdown drag out fight with the Witch of the Woods about the Saw franchise coming up in the next couple weeks, and I just wanted to keep it fresh, you know.
Yeah, thanks.
So,
I'm glad that I could be your fodder to keep that fresh for our audience.
Hey, I'll tell
I
you what.
appreciate that.
if you love torture porn, that segment was for you, because
Yeah, that was suffering. That was the worst suffering I've ever experienced. I've not had a difficult life.
oh man, yeah, I just
Well, that was a disaster, and just more evidence of why this segment needs to be much like the Jigsaw Killer. It needs to be killed. But then he comes back later, so never mind.
yeah, he dies of cancer, then uncancers somehow.
Something like that. That's the other problem about that debate that we're going to have, is that means I have to watch all those movies, and I think I'd rather just not. So
We just keep talking about it.
like you really
Like our merch.
expect me, because like I can't even remember how many of the movies I even got through before I was like, this isn't fun. I'm not enjoying this. Like
I didn't think about
I
that.
think I've watched at least the first 3 before I gave, like, I'm just like, no more. But how many are there now? Like
10
70?
or 11.
Probably like they're come to their centennial now. Oh, sorry. That's just how many hours it seems like it took.
Well, then there's like the Chris Rock version.
Oh, Spiral from the Notebook of Saw or something
Yeah.
like that.
So maybe we just agree
From
with
the
her
Book of Saw,
and then just
sorry.
never do this.
No, we'll have to debate.
We gotta debate.
Just
You're
gonna
right.
be,
You're right.
yeah,
You're right.
this is gonna be hard.
You're right. Someone has to do it.
Yeah. Well, hey, how about this? Let's get the gross taste of the terrible 20 out of our mouth and move on to something else.
Hey, it's terrible.
I'm not even gonna go over my questions, because it's just clear that I had no idea where it was supposed to go at that point.
You were so close though, dude. There, like, if you'd asked like one different question, I think you got stuck in the slasher one a little too long. That's why I said maybe try to get a year, because like, I don't know, I felt bad. And then
I was chasing subgenres for a while.
Yeah, then I remembered that you were mean to me earlier in the episode, so then I didn't feel bad anymore.
Hope it was worth it.
Hope it was worth it. Oh boy.
Well, if we can get through this bitterness, maybe we can move on to our next bit, which is, well, what month is it, Shane?
Let me count. It's October, right?
Correct.
What do we do in October?
Well, first we have to ask, how many days are there in October?
Oh, yeah, you're right. 1, 2, 3,
31.
31. I knew it.
You got it. You were looking at your calendar and counting. It's like, don't count from the
Hey,
top. Go to the bottom. Start
Before
there.
we get into the spooky season, my wife and I watched Inside Out 2 or whatever the hell it's called, with the feelings or whatever. And there was a comedian, Ron Funches, who's he plays like a old like Blue's Clues kind of character, and one of his friends is a thing called Pouchy, and like it's like how like some of those kids jokes are more for the parents to kind of like make it through without like, what.
I've heard that is the case. Yeah.
So it's like a joke where they yell Pouchy, and this fanny pack comes up and it has like things that they need to get through this situation, and it's like the first, like, it's like little kids, and they're looking at the camera, like they're looking at you, and they're like, which one should we pick? And then like the feelings or whatever they're called are in the background, like, who are you talking to? And then like it's like a bowling pin, like, I don't know, like a folder or a stick of dynamite, and they're like, wait, what? Yeah, so the whole running gag is this thing has the dynamite. I don't even know why I thought of that, but I thought it was funny. Oh, because of the 31 and like the kids, like we were joking like earlier with Sesame Street. So pretty funny gag.
I've never said Sesame Street one time today.
You did the count.
Oh man, is he from Sesame Street?
Yeah.
I thought he was a Muppet.
Yeah, well,
Wait, are Sesame Streets Muppets?
They are, yeah.
Hold on, let me check my notes. There's nothing in here about Muppets.
Let me call my friend James Hansen and ask him real quick.
Oh, I have terrible news.
Wait, what?
He's been dead for so long.
Oh my God, does Michael Jackson know?
Darkside Dave, quick. Use your lich powers to resurrect Jim Henson.
Dude, you know what? Okay, real quick. If you're a necromancer and you can resurrect one person, who's it going to be?
Oh man. Who would I pick?
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. I guess Teddy Roosevelt.
Really?
Yeah, I'd like to see what his thoughts are in this modern era, because he had both like really progressive ideas, like about like the overreach of capitalism, but he also was like a very fervent nationalists, and I feel like that's gotten us into some tough spots when recent political stuff. So I'm like, I wonder where he's going to come out on all this.
Wonder who he'd fight. That's good.
I don't know. Is that a bad answer, or what would you say?
No, I think it's a good one. For me, that's tough. Like, I'd probably like, I don't know. I've been on like a new metal kick recently, so like maybe like get that Static X going again.
Oh, all right.
Drowning Pool maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to do good in the world. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just like, this one's for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess probably the real answer would be like loved ones.
Yeah, right. It's probably, yeah, right.
Like, yeah. I should have probably gone straight to like, I don't know, grandparents. Like, that would have been sick to have them back, I guess. Whoops. Sorry, everybody.
I feel like if your family could see it, you resurrect like whoever, and they're like, wait, what?
What the hell, man? Like, we have people we love who are gone. It's like, sorry, guys. Whoops, my B.
Oh my god.
I'll take a mulligan on that one. Let me see if I can get another necromancer to help me out. Because everyone knows you only get one from each necromancer.
I would do Aleister Crowley so we could resurrect more people.
Yeah, get this man. Get as many necromancers as we can out of this guy. Yeah, I really stepped in on that one.
I think we both did. My mind didn't even go there.
No,
that's terrible.
Because that's like too heavy of a situation for us to talk about on this. Like literally every human being has lost loved ones. It's not like it's unique to anyone.
Treat
so
Williams
would have been the correct answer. What?
Treat Williams.
Oh yeah, the most beloved one of all. The guy from Deep Rising.
Get some more Dead Heat. I
say that because I do actually like Deep Rising. All right. Anyways, back to what we were actually going to talk about before that got really weird. We are going to talk about how in October there are 31 days, and you and I are both doing what some people I think on the internet have come to call a 31 for 31. Which is where we're going to watch 31 movies, horror movies over the course of the month of October. Now, I've tried to do it every year. I think last year I got it done, but the year before I was trying to do it and I definitely failed then. So I will say I'm on schedule this time. How are you doing? Are you on schedule?
I'm 3 behind, which I will make up this week. So most of the time, like I'm probably gonna have to double up. So I might end up just so my weekends are kind of hectic. But when I travel, I can actually doubled
up. I actually, because of traveling for the weekend, I tripled up yesterday, baby.
Oh man,
I was rolling in corpses, baby.
Digging through them ditches.
Yeah, and you know what? Hold on, let me check the movies. No, I was not burning through witches.
What? Were you slamming in the back of your Dragula?
I mean, always. Who isn't slamming in the back of the Dragula? So how do you want to do this, though? We didn't really plan this one out. Do you want to just each of us go through one at a time the movies we watch, and if we want to talk about it, go through it. If we don't, then just move on? Or
yeah, I think that's fair.
Handle that. All right. So my first day, I was planning on watching Oddity on Shudder, but I wasn't feeling like getting too spooked up. So I ended up watching a classic of the Dark Side Drive-In. I watched Chud.
Nice.
Yeah, #1, baby. Chudded it up. Mostly because I was like trying to think of what to watch, and I turned when I was walking around the corner. I saw that my Chud shirt was just on my couch, and I was like, "Yes, it's an omen. You. The Chuds have called to me." I mean, people, if they want to hear our thoughts on Chud, they can listen to our Chud episode. I don't have to cover anything about it here, so we can move on to yours.
Yeah, so Salem's Lot, which we'll get into later. So the 1979 edition.
Oh, the miniseries. Yeah. The Tobe Hooper one.
Yep.
Classic vampire story. All right, my #2 is actually inspired by our last full episode. I watched Hell of the Living Dead.
Oh no.
It was bad. I'm going to tell you right now. I did not enjoy it, and not just because of like the Italian 80s of it all.
Okay.
A lot of undercurrents of like racism.
Oh, geez.
And I was just like, it's like, I'm not, exactly a snowflake, but I'm feeling like this isn't chill right here. So, if I think we talked a little bit about Hell of the Living Dead last time, because the director was Bruno Mattei, who did Rats Night of Terror. Yeah. So yeah, and then written by Claudio Fragasso, who we also talked about. 1981, sometime around there. It was just another of a long list of zombie movies. It did have a pretty sick soundtrack because of Goblin did the soundtrack.
Oh, cool.
We talked a little bit about Claudio Simonetti, like during our Rats episode. But man, it was just all around not chill. Like, I didn't enjoy much of it. The effects weren't anything to write home about. The dialogue was goofy and obviously mismatched because of the Italian of it all. So yeah, I'd probably just steer clear of it unless you're really craving like one of those like off-brand, zombie movies. I feel like the story of it is like it was trying to make some kind of political idea, but the idea of the like what the zombie apocalypse thing happened because like governments are trying to create a zombie virus to force the people of the third world to eat each other to reduce overpopulation and starvation.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, yeah, like I understand that you're trying to make a statement, but it ends up just kind of fetishizing the otherness of like these like tribes in like, I think it was like Papua New Guinea or something like that. And it's just like watching these people eat each other. I'm like, this is uncomfortable. So run, but don't walk away from Hell of the Living Dead. Do not do it. Cannot not recommend it enough.
Okay. Well,
you want to go on to your next one?
Gonna cross that off the list. Yeah, I guess, cause I watched we'll figure you'll find out soon. I watched the new Salem's Lot that I didn't know was even coming out. I wasn't paying attention. Like I didn't know it was coming out early October. I thought it was later. Yeah, so I watched the recently released version. I think it came out last week, right?
It came out on the 4th.
Yeah.
I want to say. Yeah, it was like literally it dropped on. I think it was released the 3rd. I think it was like Thursday for some reason. But yeah, a very recent release. It's been out less than a week by this recording. So get in on ground zero for that bad boy.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll get into why that movie was filmed in 2022 and just released now. Here's a hint. Corporate greed.
Corporate greed.
You lied. All right. Well, my number 3 is actually a classic of the found footage genre, Hell House LLC.
Ooh.
I love Hell House LLC. I think it's a great movie. Real scary. Almost too scary for me, actually. So I really like that. And I don't want to get into it too much now because I actually watched it as part of something we have coming down the pipeline that I won't spoil what it is. But let's just say we'll get into it. Hey, Peter.
Hey,
We'll get into it.
Hey, Pete. I can never do that voice. McMurder can do it.
He can, yeah. He's very good at the Patrick Warburton.
He sure is.
All right. Next one for you, sir.
Well, along the Hell House LLC vibe, I watched Houses That October Built. Not the documentary, which I'm going to watch that too, but the 2014 version. So I'm sure high IQ listeners could figure something out, but yeah, you're just gonna have to wait and you will hear more on that one probably soon.
Stay peeled.
Stay peeled.
All right. Well, my next, sorry.
Every time I say that, stay peeled, I always think of that Linkin Park song. I want to feel, I want to heal, whatever.
Does he say peel?
No, but I do in my brain. It's like, I want to peel. Anyways, I think I'm a terrible person sometimes. But anyways, what's your next movie?
No, that was really worth interrupting me for.
Yeah, totally.
I'm really glad we did that. My next one is a little shape-shifting paranoid alien film. You might know it as The Thing.
Oh, man.
1982 John Carpenter remake of The Thing from Another World, which is actually another adaptation of a novella by John W. Campbell Jr. called Who Goes There? Yeah, classic. Kurt Russell. Wilford Brimley's in it. My man Keith David is in it. Like, really cool cast. Just very claustrophobic, very tense horror movie with some incredible effects that have stood the test of time.
That dog.
Yeah. Indeed.
That's one of my favorite stories when you went to see that at the row house and people had not seen that movie. And just,
like, don't shoot the dog. I'm like, you idiots.
you idiots, shoot the dog more.
Yeah, that's no
You
dog.
fools.
You fool.
Inconceivable. Anyways.
Yeah. So I don't have to get into the thing. Everyone knows the thing. Yeah. But there you go. Where are we at? You said you're a few behind, so I don't know if you had another
I have one more, and it's a short. And actually, TikTok turned me onto this, shockingly. It's called Meat Cleaver, and it is a independent, like, short film. I really don't want to spoil it, but I have to talk about it. I think it's like, I sent it to you last night. It's only like 15 minutes long, and I'm trying to grab the studio really quick. Turn my phone volume off. It's on Crypt TV. So if you go to Crypt TV, if you go to their YouTube channel, look up Meat Cleaver. It is a amusing take on both sides of the slasher victim and or killer. I love it. I thought it was so cool. It's just so weird. And again, it's like 15 minutes. So if you've got 15 minutes out of your day, definitely go to YouTube and check out Meat Cleaver, like the implement. And it's 2 words. So yeah.
Meat Cleaver.
Yeah. And it's new. So like, I don't want to like if this was like an older one, I would spoil it, but it's actually pretty funny. So check it out. And that was my last one. I don't have any more. We have some, well, I'll get into that in a minute, but I've got some stuff coming.
I have 3 more. Yeah. Cause I got it. Like I said yesterday, I got a little ahead of the game because I anticipated that I might not watch something tonight. We'll find out. So my next up is the 1990 Tom Savini directed Night of the Living Dead remake.
Nice.
Love that movie. It's got Tony Todd in it. It's got not a lot of other people that I really recognize in it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check. It does give Barbara a little more to do. It was pretty poorly received on its release, but I think that people have kind of come around on it a little bit. Let me see. Tony Todd is Ben. Patricia Tallman is Barbara. Tom Towles is Harry Cooper. So it's just like kind of interesting. Like one of the original guys, Russell Schreiner, who played Johnny in the original movie. He's like the sheriff in this. Is like I think Chili Billy Cardille is in it. Is a cameo appearance as a news reporter. So it's overall just kind of a fun little piece of, interesting move. Kind of cool to see Tom Savini's like feature film directorial debut be a movie that, or like a remake of a movie for a director that he's worked with many times in a special effects capacity. So then I obviously Salem's Lot, which we'll get into, so don't really need to go into that.
Yep.
And then last is a little movie called Cooties.
Okay.
So I got kind of on a zombie kick this time around. I don't know how that ended up happening. Cooties has Frodo Baggins in it. It's a 2014 horror zombie comedy. Probably a little bit less funny than it thinks it is. In my opinion, I think it's fine. I think that what I liked about it is just the idea that the kids are the zombies. It's like these infected chicken nuggets are turning kids into zombies. So there's a lot of violence against zombie kids that I was like, oh, I didn't expect this to happen. Usually movies are very precious about having violence against children. And this was nope, these kids are evil now. So pretty funny. Yeah, it's got Elijah Wood, Rainn Wilson, Allison Pill, Jack McBrayer, and Nassim Pedrad. So it's a pretty stacked cast of people. But I feel like that kind of works against it sometimes because I feel like if it was some lesser knowns, it might have been more interesting. Cooties. It's not terrible. Pretty interesting. Basically, it's about infected chicken nuggets suddenly turn children into zombies, and teachers at an elementary school are now under siege by their former charges. So
I kind of agree with you on sometimes when you load a cast up, a movie like Sin City, I think that works well. But a movie like this, sometimes I feel especially with a lot of comedians,
it's just hard to divorce them from the baggage of their other characters. Yep. So it's a bit, again, it's fine. It's a decent movie. So not a very heavy recommendation, but give it a shot if you're interested in something a little outside the box for your, spooky season viewing. And then on the docket for tonight, assuming that we aren't recording too late, I'm going to watch VHS Beyond on Shudder because I'm pretty excited about that. I'm a big fan of the VHS series. So fingers crossed I get to watch that.
I can't, that's probably the next one I'm going to watch. I just gotta, sometimes I can watch these horror movies and I don't even it doesn't even faze me. Something about the VHS movies are just so disturbing.
Because of video cassettes.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It just gets me which is cool. But
what if someone isn't kind and doesn't rewind?
Oh no. And then Mos Def and Jack Black make a movie about it.
Ooh. I do think that the VHS movies work the best when they have a frame narrative, which is why I think that VHS Viral will always be the worst one because it doesn't even have one.
Yeah.
Or does it, but it's just a bad one. I think it does, but it's just like a really dumb one with some kind of evil ice cream truck driving around or something. I don't know. I only ever watched that one once and I did not enjoy it. So, but we can get into that another day because we have to cover another thing in one of our classic bits, don't we? Jane?
What do we have to cover? Stefan?
Why it's Salem's Lot in a segment that I'm going to call.
I can't wait. I'm so here for this.
Okay. Good luck. Try that in a small town. In parentheses, leverage its pre-existing history of ancient evil to take it over with vampires. So actually you should try it in a small town. It's the perfect place to take over with vampires, especially if it has a history of ancient evil that already exists there. So yeah,
that's so good.
Just to reiterate, good luck. Try that in a small town. In parentheses, leverage its pre-existing history of ancient evil to take it over with vampires. Just like the song.
So, oh my God. So,
don't forget the in parentheses part. It's very important.
Very important. In fact, more important. So I really didn't know how we were going to go through this. I had some very pertinent questions though about this whole IP. If you would indulge me for a moment. I have not read the books. How close? So I'll refer to them by the year. That way we can. So how close is the 79 adaptation of this to Stephen King's book?
A lot of the bigger story beats are kind of there. It departs pretty hugely with its portrayal of Barlow. The character of Barlow is not like that in the books. He's not a completely quiet Nosferatu-esque vampire.
Yeah,
he's very urbane and smart and kind of cool. So they kind of botched that one a little bit. But a lot of the other parts of the storyline go there. It has a lot more room to breathe, so it gives us a lot more time to explore. Ben Mears, to explore the townspeople that he'll get to meet. Mark Petrie, all of these people, Father Callahan. It definitely, I don't know. I feel like every adaptation of it, so not to get ahead of ourselves, but misses out on something very crucial. But that's kind of because a lot of this, what Stephen King is doing in this is talking about just kind of like the nameless, unease you get, returning to a small town that you used to live at.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put that into words. So a lot of it is done with the internal monologue and the memories of Ben Mears as he's remembering his time at Salem's Lot. So it's kind of hard to show that. I think they do a better job in the 79 one of covering that, because you get a lot more about the Marston house and why it's so dangerous and why it's so evil. And you get the idea that the evil of Salem's Lot isn't Barlow, it's what attracts Barlow, as opposed to the new one, which, not to get ahead of myself, but it just feels like Barlow just rolled in because it's a small town. He can take it over and just head out,
Yeah. And I felt like the new one, again, like you said, just trying not to get ahead of this, but I felt like the new one took a lot of liberties. It's hey, you should have seen this other one first. So, but
I would agree. I think that it kind of relies on a pre-existing knowledge of the audience, and part of that could be studio interference too. I couldn't speculate to that. So wait, did you want me to talk about each adaptation then? Do you want me to talk about the 2005 one as well?
Well, so I've some
2004. What year was that one? 2005?
It was 2004. So
2004.
So
okay.
I have some questions. So in the book, he was not the Nosferatu-esque.
No.
Okay.
He was kind of like, he was like a chill European dude.
Okay.
Who like rolled up into town, and he had his buddy Straker, who's like his ostensible business partner.
Sure.
They opened up like an antique store together, Barlow and Straker. But when he appeared, he actually would talk and had things to say, like a lot of things to say. And they kind of cover that. Like one of the more compelling scenes in the novel, in my opinion, is, I mean, a lot of the novel is great. Never mind. Not one of the more compelling ones, but one of the more memorable ones is when Barlow is facing off with the priest in like Mark Petrie's family's kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So the priest is like holding the cross and it's glowing and it's got the power of Christ, like, and it's dangerous. And in the adaptation, it's Straker who is, and like in the 79 one, it's Straker who's talking him down.
Right.
In place of Barlow, like, yeah, is it, like, can you really do this? Like, you have the strength of faith, preacher, and all that. It's Barlow talking to him. He's like, if you truly believe that your faith is strong, then cast your cross aside and your faith will protect you. And the father's faith is shaken and the cross stops glowing and he loses. And that's all Barlow talking to him. So it's like way more compelling in the novel than it is in either movie adaptation. Because now that I think about it, how did it work in the new one? Because isn't it like, because Straker's dead by then, so isn't it just like some disembodied voice?
No, Barlow talks to him.
Is Barlow talking to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I thought it was like Barlow's voice, but he wasn't actually saying it. He was like communicating it through his mind.
That could be it. I couldn't
remember.
That could be it. No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I don't remember that specifically.
Because it was like that hushed whisper that like Barlow does when he's like, come to the darkness. Like,
right.
It's definitely Barlow communicating, but it's not actually him talking.
So just from watching Nosferatu recently, and hopefully really soon.
Yeah.
And then rewatching 79, the 79 version. How much did they rip from Nosferatu? Because like, I know Stephen King will sometimes like reimagine stuff, but I find it really hard to believe that he would have written it to be that close to Nosferatu or then at that point Dracula, right?
Okay. So
because like the new one,
he wouldn't have
the new one like straight up is almost like it's kind of crazy how close it is to Nosferatu.
He wouldn't have in that way.
Yeah.
But I will say that Stephen King's influence, like I've not read on this, but it seems pretty clear to me that Nosferatu is an influence in that it is affecting the town. So if you remember in Nosferatu, sure, how there's a plague and they're like, what's causing this plague? Yeah. How's this happening? And we know it's Nosferatu like biting people and killing them.
Yep.
In this one, it's the same thing, except the people disappear and then become part of the vampire horde that basically every night it's like unsafe on the streets of that town because there's going to be vampires everywhere. So I think he definitely pulled from Nosferatu in that way and how it affects the town. Like how people are just suddenly going away and like schools have no one in them and businesses are empty. And there's like some haunting scenes in every version of that. Like the 79 one, the 2004 one, the new one, like they have different ways of how they show it. But that's a big part of it is how haunting it is when people are just gone. And I feel like that is definitely aped straight from Nosferatu because that was a very specific thing that, F.W. Murnau did for Nosferatu, because that wasn't even in the Dracula book. Like people were getting sick, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like this massive plague that was like just destroying the town.
But like,
so I think that was definitely something that pulled from it.
But like, even like the Demeter, like they even reference like going to the shipping dock and picking up the crates and stuff. Like it just, but I think that's part of that's part of the movie, not like
that's vampire rules though.
Yeah.
You're talking about like whenever because the old rules are like a vampire can't cross water without having its dirt.
Correct.
With it. So that's not specific to Nosferatu. That's like part of Dracula. That's like old timey.
Yeah, I just
like
feel like I
mythology
guess for
stuff.
me though, and maybe it's just because of the monster or Barlow just bears such a striking resemblance. And I know that wasn't how he was portrayed in the books. So now I'm talking more about the films. Like how, like to me, I drew a lot of parallels, like more than, and I haven't read the book. I'll have to read it, but more than what I thought Stephen King would have used. Right. And that could just be because I mean, obviously Nosferatu is a very like influential film in this genre. So,
well, that was a choice by the production design
Sure.
in the 79 miniseries. That was not a Stephen King choice.
that's what I mean.
So
That's
you
kind of
can't
what I'm
really-
saying. Like, is that like,
Yeah.
that's why I said I don't think Stephen King would have done that. And
No, they've literally said in interviews, like, we just couldn't do it the way Stephen King's was. We had to do it this way, or we couldn't add it to. I don't know what their excuse was, but I was reading on the Wikipedia before this. Like, why did they choose to do that? Because that wasn't how he was in the book, and I've never questioned
Right.
it. Just because he's so rad looking. Like, why would I?
Sure.
But then, like, I'm like, yeah, now I have to question it. I need to know why. And I can actually, let me see if I can pull up the thing in like a reasonable time, because I actually have like 80 tabs open right now.
Sure.
So, oh, here's one. Yep, there's the, oh yeah. The producer, Richard Kobritz, he said that he turned him from a cultured human-looking villain to a speechless, demonic-looking monster. We went back to the old German Nosferatu concept, where he is the essence of evil and not anything romantic or smarmy or, the rogue-cheeked, widow-peaked Dracula. I wanted nothing suave or sexual because I just didn't think it'd work. We've seen too much of it. Which now we've kind of circled back around on that, though.
Sure.
Like we have a lot of examples of the monstrous vampires. Like we have the new Nosferatu coming out soon. We have 30 Days of Night. We had Last Voyage of the Demeter. Speaking of the Demeter,
Yeah.
like we've had versions of that now. So we kind of have more. Like back then, there weren't as many options, like as many monstrous vampires. So I guess I see it from that perspective. But that's kind of like one of my issues with the movie is in some ways it feels like a movie version of the 1979 miniseries.
It's like an abridged version.
Not so much. Well, I was thinking no, but more like an adaptation of another adaptation,
I see.
or like a remake of another adaptation, and not a new
gotcha.
adaptation of the source material.
Sure.
Because I feel like they did the same thing with Pet Sematary.
Yep.
The newer version of that came out. I feel like they did the same thing with the newer version of Carrie, the one with Chloe Grace Moretz.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like it was more like a remake of the Sissy Spacek version of Carrie, and it wasn't a new adaptation of the novel. And I think because so many of like Stephen King's like the movie adaptations become like things of their like all on their own, that people forget to go back to the source material when they're readapting it.
Yeah.
I think that there's notable exceptions to that. I think that probably one of the best ones is Dr. Sleep, which works as both a sequel to the movie version of The Shining and then an adaptation of Dr. Sleep. Like Mike Flanagan manages to marry both of those and keep the spirit of the book alive. It's actually very impressive the way he does that. And that's just one of the like few examples of making it work. But I think so many of them feel like they're beholden to an earlier version of something that's already been adapted. And don't even get me started on the new Firestarter. Ugh.
Yeah.
Hey, here's an idea for a new fire to start. Light me on fire so I have to watch that movie again.
No.
Bazing.
I think it's
Bazinga.
I think that's a good transition into maybe we should start talking about these a little bit more in depth. I don't really know how you want to go through this. I did not watch the 2000. I have seen the 2004 miniseries. I did not watch it recently. I tried to do the 24 and 79 because I read that they're very close. Like there's a lot of
They
parallels.
are, yes.
And I thought that would be more of a direct comparison, but I think ignoring Rob Lowe never gets anyone anywhere. So
I'll just say the things that I thought were really strong about the 2004
Sure.
one, and we can move on.
yeah, that's fine.
I thought that Rob Lowe was fine. I think that the real standouts were Donald Sutherland, who played Straker in that, inspired choice. Matt Burke is played by Andre Braugher, and anytime you can put Andre Braugher in anything, I'm gonna love it. Like R.I.P. to a real one. James Cromwell, I thought was like a really inspired choice for Father Callahan. Granted, they did something with his character, and that was so bizarre to me. Like in both of the 79 miniseries and the new one, he dies, right? I think he does. He dies in the 79 version too, right?
Yes.
In the 2004 one, he like becomes a thrall of Barlow. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense for his character. And then especially if you've read, you know, the Dark Tower series, you know, Father Callahan, like in the book, he fled town because he was shamed.
Yeah.
So he left. And then he ends up like in Wolves of the Calla and Song of Susanna, like Father Callahan is a character. Like he had managed to get to Midworld somehow and like continued his like story there. But then of course the real standout is Rutger Hauer as Barlow. Like that. Now that was the Barlow we expected. Like he was talking people into stuff. Like he was a much more like present character.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, granted, it was just basically just because it was Rutger Hauer. But even when, like, I feel like I remember that the scene where they have his coffin open and they're ready to kill him, and he like almost talks them out of it. I'm like, guys, you have the stake. Just kill him. And he's like, but what if you didn't? And it's like, good point, sir.
Damn it, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So
I didn't even know that was an option.
I think that a lot of those 2000s era adaptations of like the miniseries versions of different Stephen King things, I think they're overhated. Maybe that's because the same love that people have of the 79 one is the love I have of that, which is like mostly nostalgia. Like it was probably the first way that I ever experienced this story was watching it that way. But I thought it was fine. It was a TNT made for TV miniseries, and I thought it was just fine. And honestly, the way that they portrayed like the town's downfall and stuff, it was like the first time where the night seemed really dangerous because the vampires were just like marauding the town at night. It was awesome. I thought it was really cool the way they portrayed that. So that's just my 2 cents on the 2004 one. We can drop it now and go back to the other two since there's clearly a more obvious lineage between the Toby Hooper version and then this one.
Yeah. So I just to get some shit off my chest. This movie terrified me as a child. I watched this probably, I think it was like 4 or 5, probably maybe 6. And like, I had a fear of like windows. Like when I was like sleeping, I'm like, oh fuck, I better close my curtains. Right. Like this had such a strong part of my like horror development of like movies that I liked. I was so disappointed when I went back and rewatched it. I do like it, but I made the mistake of watching the 24 one first. So anyone that hasn't seen the new one and you plan on watching the old one, I'd recommend watching the 79 version first. And I think that's mainly because when you watch it on like Max or whatever you're going to watch it on, it's all in one piece. If you remember, a lot of the Stephen King adaptations on TV were either like a 3-week thing or, you know, a couple day thing. So
this one was a two episode miniseries.
Right. So it was broken up into parts, right? So when you watch it that way, so it was a week apart. I think it definitely lends itself to like part 1, you're getting a lot of the development of like the characters, like the things that are happening, and you're getting like inklings of weird things going on. And then part 2 hits you with like a lot of the action. Like this is what's happening. Things are ramping up. But with that said, I thought that the 24 version really did a good job at kind of pacing that out for losing basically half of the time, the runtime, right? I thought that was pretty interesting how they were able to accomplish that. Because like sometimes those movies don't, like the book adaptations with a movie don't do well because they rush a lot of things that I think you need to flesh out. And I felt like the 24 version did a pretty good job. Like I felt connected to these characters. There was enough of a backstory. I thought Bill Camp did a great job as Burke. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Cause like I know like these book adaptations are tough to pull off.
Yeah. Salem's Lot is especially difficult because that's kind of like one of the things about the 24 version. We're just getting a couple of things out of the way about the 24 version because we didn't really say much about it. So you had, it was written and directed by Gary Dauberman. It was supposed to be released in 2022, but wasn't because Warner Brothers decided that they were going to try to shelve everything and just collect tax breaks for it.
Nice.
But it had like Lewis Pullman as Ben Mears, Mackenzie Lee as Susan Norton, Dr. Cody. I can't say her name. Alfra Woodard. Changed the gender up on Dr. Cody, but we're okay with that, guys. Don't get all upset and start posting incel rants online, please. Father Callahan is John Benjamin Hickey. Matthew Burke is Bill Kemp. Jordan Preston Carter is Mark Petrie. I thought he was a pretty good standout.
Oh yeah. I mean,
and then and unexpectedly fun was Pilo Asbeck as Richard Stryker, the guy who played the Theon Greyjoy's evil uncle in those latter seasons of Game of Thrones. Actually, I thought he fit this character quite well as a different version of.
He was Euron. Euron Greyjoy.
Euron Greyjoy. This is definitely a different version of Stryker than I expected, but I thought he did a good job of it. I thought he was especially creepy as like the child stalking sidekick of an immortal monster.
Yeah.
He did a pretty good job of it. So I just wanted to get the cast and stuff out of the way, just so we give them a little bit of a due, a little bit of a tip of the cap. But yeah, my biggest issue with this movie, actually, like, I think that there's a lot going for it. But the issue I have is, shortening the runtime. It didn't sacrifice a lot in terms of character development. You do generally get to know the characters pretty well. I think that like characters like Mark a little more so than some of the others, but it is kind of funny how quickly they just are like, it's probably vampires. It's gotta be like, I do love how they kind of just are on board for vampires. Was just like, it's like, guys, I feel like it's vampires. like almost immediately. It's like, I don't want to seem paranoid here, but I think it's vampires. But the other thing though about shortening the runtime is we didn't get into the Marston House history. Like, we didn't cover much of that, right, or any at all, I think, of Ben Mears' history with the house. Like how in the book and in the original miniseries, he had like a traumatic childhood experience in there where he basically saw the ghost of Hughie Marston in there.
Yeah.
And they don't get into that. They don't really get into much about how Salem's Lot is already kind of a bad place. Like, it's already like got a lot of like incidents and stuff. Like, it's like just another one of those Stephen King towns where just things just go sour all the time.
Right.
It seems to like imply, the movie seems to imply that Barlow is coming there because it's a small town. He could take it over and then just like grab it when he's done. But in the book, it's like, no, he was attracted by the evil of the place. Like, the evil was there. And Stephen King makes that pretty clear when he has a short story that actually takes place in like the late 1800s, I believe, called Jerusalem's Lot. And that's just about like a guy who moves into like his family house that he had inherited near like a town called Preacher's Corners. And he hears about this like old town called Jerusalem's Lot that's been since abandoned. And he's like, tries to figure out why it's been abandoned. Like, all the townspeople are just gone. And then ends up discovering that, like, spoiler alert for like a really old short story. If you wanted to read it, you could have done it 1,000 times by now. But he basically finds out there's this book called De Vermis Mysterious, which is like the worm god Bible. And he like finds out there's a giant worm god living under Jerusalem's Lot. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, no, it's not vampires. It's just another evil thing there.
It's a lair of the white worm.
Yeah, just a coincidence. But I thought that was a cool. The De Vermis Mysterious is something that shows up. It's like invented by Robert Bloch for one of his stories, and it was used by H.P. Lovecraft, and now it's used by Stephen King. So it's like one of those old like short story devices that people use. But yeah, the idea that this like Jerusalem's Lot, like Salem's Lot, is just an evil place is kind of lost in the new movie, which kind of bums me out. And I feel like even the 79 miniseries, I don't think goes enough into it, but it at least hints at it a little bit more. That like Ben Mears has like some serious stuff he needs to work through here.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they don't get into it enough in the new movie, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if we want to like, I kind of wanted to focus more on the new one.
That's fine.
Because man, there are some solid scenes in that movie.
Well, that was why, like, if we wanted to get into like the stuff that I did like,
it was going to be like,
my God, the effects of like the vampires were incredible.
Yeah.
Like the glowing eyes, the way that they like move, like I think one of my favorite scenes is where they like pull up to like Matt Burke's house, like after wherever they were. And then Sue's like, all right, let's go. It's like, and then like Ben's like, don't go. There's vampires on Matt's roof. It's like they just look up and there's just like vampires sitting up there. It's like, oh, all right, this is happening.
That church scene when he runs after, oh God, it's going to kill me. I keep forgetting her name. I knew I was going to forget her name too. Who's it?
Oh, Susan.
Susan, thank you.
Yeah, when she gets got.
And he's running after her, and then like there's a scene where like he looks up and it's just like eyes like everywhere, like on the roof. Like,
yeah. Like he like turns and then like the doctor.
Yeah.
He's like, Ben, and he turns around and then like all these buildings that were empty and the street that was empty now have vampires in it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, I done goofed.
It was so good. And then I really liked well, I don't want to get in the ending yet, but the other thing I thought that was really, really cool with this movie, that I liked, and I'm surprised that I like this more than the 79 version, comparing the two Barlows, I kind of liked this one a lot. I don't know why. It was kind of, there's a little CGI on some of the stuff, but I don't know what it was. I just really, really, really liked, like, it's felt more sinister kind of and less campy, but again, one was filmed in 1979. So
no, I kind of agree with you though. I think that the features like on the design of Barlow's face is very much more animalistic and less just makeup on a dude.
Right.
And I think that plays really well for this thing. Like if it's like supposed to be this ancient evil, like, yeah, it's going to look like it's twisted up and kind of bizarre looking. I do think that like some of the jaw effects were a little too CGI. I think they could have pumped the brakes on that a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that one.
But the overall design, I agree with you. Like if this is the direction they're going to go with Barlow, I feel like this is probably the superior way to go for the most part.
I also really enjoyed that, like, I knew the story, right? But no character was safe. And I, again, knowing the story, you kind of know who's going to bite it, but pun intended.
Or get bit, as it were.
Yeah. But just some of the speed at which it happens in this version, I absolutely loved. Again, it was really hard to go from like an action-packed, solid like 90 minutes or however long this movie was, 2 hours, to the 3.5 hour TV adaptation. It was just, the beginning was so slow, and I wish I'd have watched it in reverse because, and I was kind of worried like going into the newer 24 version, because I'm like, how are they gonna, like I said, I brought up like you kind of get the character development. It did suck they didn't really get into the house at all and other things, but I just felt that it was, I don't know, it was just well done. I was super worried this was gonna suck, mainly because of Firestarter.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that what's here is good. I just kind of wish that it had given a little more room to breathe. Like maybe given us a little more of like some of the strongest parts, I think, are like when Matt Burke finds that gravedigger guy in the bar, and then like he's like, do you want to like crash at my place because you're like maybe dying here? And then like the incident with what was it? The mother of the boys who got vampified.
Yeah.
When they're like, well, we got to prove that she's going to come back, so we'll go to the morgue and sit there with her body. And like, what a scene that was.
Yeah.
That was rad. And like, I feel like if we'd had like more moments like that, like let it breathe, like kind of like give time for these characters, like for the town to fall. Cause I feel like it fell a little too fast. Like I get it. These vampires are, they can fly. They're super strong. They're pretty tough,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like that's the one benefit for some of the mini series is they give the time they need for that. But I meant to say this during like the special effects stuff is like their portrayal of like a cross is crazy. Like how it just like starts glowing, like they can hold it like a flashlight if they're in a building with like a vampire.
I loved that so much.
Yeah, that was really cool. Like they have like the tongue compressors and they like taping it together. Now it's a cross.
And they're like chanting.
And then it's like, oh, it fell apart.
They're like reciting the prayers.
Just like whatever verses or prayers they remember. Yeah, it's like very funny.
Well, I thought that was super effective because when Father Callahan breaks, the cross stops glowing. And I thought that was so cool.
Well, that was a scene right out of the book too. And that's exactly how it was described, was that the cross would glow like that. I thought it was like a really cool, like anything that does play by like the old school rules, like the scenes with like the vampires, you don't see them in a mirror. It's like, wait, what's happening? And turns and it's like, oh, someone's getting bit by a vampire. 'cause I
That
didn't
was
see him
also
in the
awesome.
mirror.
Where he was like
So-
looking in the mirror from the other room and didn't see, couldn't tell.
Yeah, I couldn't tell that like Susan was getting bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, another thing that I liked was like how it kind of felt like it was definitely not a modern movie. Like there's no
Right.
cell phones. It definitely wasn't now, but it doesn't make it entirely clear when it is. So that kind of like being outside of time and place kind of makes it seem like, well, what options do they have? You know, what year is this? So I thought that actually worked in its favor. So things felt a little more dire because it felt like they were kind of isolated from the rest of the
Right.
world because clearly they don't have smartphones, apparently don't have internet, apparently still go to the drive-in, and apparently everyone in town goes to the drive-in.
Well,
So.
since we brought up the drive-in, we got to talk about it.
You want to get into the ending scene?
I mean, like, I think like, I don't want to spoil this movie too much, but we got to talk about it. Hold on. Before we get there, Jordan Preston Carter, my God, that kid absolutely nailed it. And I like the same thing with like the Stranger Things cast and some of them moving into it. I can't wait to see what he gets into and what movies he does because he did such a good job.
yeah, the scene where he like Houdini's out of like him
Yes.
being tied up by Straker, kills the guy, then like goes into like casually walks into a church where they're all like talking about, hey, vampires, am I right? He just walks in. It's like, I'm here for holy water. I'm gonna go kill Barlow. I just killed his friend. And they're like, what? Who is this kid? Like, that was pretty awesome. Yeah, he was really good in this. And that's one of the elements that it kind of kept from the original stuff is his interest in horror things, which helps him out when it comes to fighting vampires and stuff.
Yeah, super cool. But yeah, I think we got to talk about it.
I mean, we don't want to spoil it though, so I don't know how much you want to go into detail.
Okay, so we're gonna do this. If you don't care about spoilers, stick around. If you care about spoilers, I will put a timestamp in the notes of when you should come back and listen. Or do you just want to not talk about it?
No, we can talk about it if you want to.
I kind of do, man, because like, god damn, that was such a good ending. I don't know. I don't know if you felt that way, but
No, I liked it.
just
The scene of
yeah.
like just like a bunch of vampires suddenly bursting into flames in a field was hilarious.
What a great idea that Mark had with the car. So Jordan Preston Carter, he's like, I'm just gonna knock that freaking thing down, and he wiped out half the town in one shot. You know,
Yeah, I mean those vampires are dumb. Like, stay in the car until the sun's down,
right.
dude. You're just asking to get burnt up.
but
But yeah, so okay, basically, since now we're getting into it, they're like no one's sure where the vampires are hiding during the day, so they want to find where they are and put an end to them.
Mhm.
And someone's like, "Wait, where are all the cars?" And then that's when they realize, oh, the only place that could hide the entire town would be the drive-in. So it's like all these parked cars with like vampires in the trunks. So that's where the vampires are hiding. That's definitely a change from the book, but I think it's pretty fun considering the drive-in movie element of it all.
yeah, I thought it was a great idea. Because like the whole coffin thing, like where are they gonna rest? They're in their trunks. Like I don't know. I'm like that is such a cool idea. So whoever,
Did you see how they showed that they handled that?
what's that
Did you see how they handled that
with what?
to make it so that those cars were coffins? So under the cars, whenever Mark crawls under the
They
one,
dug out.
there's
yeah,
dirt down there.
you're right.
So that's like the grave dirt. They brought
Yep.
it and just put it under the cars so they could like rest in the cars during
Yep.
the day. It was crazy. It was awesome.
You're right. I forgot.
So otherwise
about
that'd be a break of the rules.
Right.
But nope, they played by the rules. They had them.
that. No, you're right.
I know.
And then I felt like because like in the 79 version, they just open like there's a lot of action going on, but they just open the casket and kill Barlow. I think it was cool to give him that, like to kind of make him more of a threat, right? Where they weren't able to get it open in time, and he was able to kind of get away, and then they get split up, and he has the scene where where he's punching through the screen trying to get at Mark. But it did do, and maybe this is a product of being around in 2022, that stupid ass 3D shot
Oh, it was the worst.
Oh
Yeah,
my God. I don't know why they even thought that was a good idea. I don't know.
Yeah, that almost pulled me out of the entire moment.
It sure did. Like, because he had his like head in there. I'm like, they're not gonna. I thought it was gonna stake through the. I thought he was gonna get him from the back and like stake him down through the thing, and you would see.
Because he could have. The heart's still there.
Yeah.
You don't have to turn him over. But
I'm like, there's no way they're gonna push that through the back of his head and do the Universal Studios Hollywood ride version of that, and they sure did.
Such a cliche. Yeah, that was a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
After that entire confrontation being kind of cool and kind of heart-wrenching, fighting the Susan vampire, and then here we go with this goofiness.
Yeah, it did cheapen the moment, but like it almost felt like they did that to get that still shot of the silhouette of Ben through the hole, like from Mark's vantage point.
Yeah, that's why they did it. It doesn't make it okay.
I know. It was like it's like you make a scene around a shot, and it's like that's stupid.
Yeah, I didn't care for that. Yeah. Everything else about that final confrontation was pretty cool.
So good.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I kind of wish that, I don't know,
they would have used their brains.
I just wish it had been, yeah.
They would have used their eyes.
Look, either way, yeah. But yeah, all in all, though, I thought it was a pretty solid movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I actually was worried. I recently watched about 3 or 4 months ago. I watched The Outsider on Max, and this gave me pretty big Outsider vibes. Same kind of feel. I didn't look if that was the same crew or you know, but I know Bill Camp is in that movie, but yeah, I definitely got the same vibes. So I was kind of hopeful. I'm like, I think they'll be able to do it. They've done some other pretty good adaptations in the last 5 years of his stuff, or 6 years. Oh, I guess 10 years now. I'm old. Starting with It. I loved It.
So the writer-director, Gary Dauberman, he's got a lot of history in the horror genre. Annabelle Creation, The Nun, Annabelle Comes Home, both It and It Chapter 2.
Okay.
He wrote all of those. I think he was also director on Annabelle Comes Home. So he's like got a pretty good history pedigree. One thing that's really interesting to me is he was a writer and executive producer on the Swamp Thing TV show, a TV show that ruled and got killed way too ahead of its time. Oh no, he graduated from he grew up in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah, over in eastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Wow.
What do you know? Delaware County represent.
Oh man. What is it about Pennsylvania? You know, I think it's just that small, eerie, creepy town vibe that's in the center. So we're in Western Pennsylvania, and pretty much between us and Philly, there's a couple population centers, but there's a lot of nothing. And there's a lot of towns that I don't even know how they exist. It's like some of the towns have more churches than other buildings, because they're old coal mining
that
towns.
Factors into it, yeah.
Or mill towns or something. And now there's only like 10 people there. The Appalachia whole like belt. So I feel like people from Pennsylvania just are able to understand just, I don't know, like that lonely horror kind of feeling. You know what I mean? They're able to get that vibe down, which is, I think, shows here like big time. Like some of those scenes where they're just in the town, like when the sheriff's leaving and Dr. Cody's just like, why are you leaving? And he's just like, are you not here too? Like there's nothing here. And then I was a little pissed about the scene. This is like a Jurassic Park moment where like they're like the sheriff help, and then they throw him through the window in the church.
Yeah, like he left. How did they get him? That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was just kind of like I hope there's no raptors here, and then there's just like insert raptor, like kind of stuff. So, but yeah, all in all, loved it. Oh my God. The scene with Mike Ryerson, so Spencer Treat Clark, when he was, I think it was Danny, when he was burying Danny, or was it Ralphie? I'm pretty sure it was Danny. And he was like,
yeah, cause they never found Ralph.
Right. Cause they saw that was the sacrifice that started it all, right. Consecrate. That's the word I was looking for. But the scene, like, and I'm sorry if you talked about this, my brain just went here, when he was like he was like filling in the grave, and Danny was like talking to him and like crying for help, and then he opened it, and there was just nothing there. Like he was just dead, like laying there, and then he shuts it, and then
and then he turns around, and then suddenly he flies in the sky behind him, and then he just goes back to like doing it. Didn't even see that happen.
It was so cool.
No, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Like, you know, all in all, as a vampire flick, like take out the Stephen King stuff, it was a pretty good movie.
Yeah. That's just like the things that really make it work for me are the Stephen King stuff.
No, sure, yeah.
But yeah, like just, and then as a side note, if you're really interested in the world of this stuff, so Stephen King has his book, obviously. He has 2 short stories. One that's a prequel, which is Jerusalem's Lot. I kind of got into that earlier. Another one he has is a sequel, which is called One for the Road. And it's basically it's a short story. It's just about how the people who live in the vicinity of Jerusalem's Lot just silently spend their time like carrying around religious symbols and trying not to go out at night. Like they just kind of acknowledge this is happening and just stay away from Jerusalem's Lot, stay away from Salem's Lot. We're not going there. And I was just thinking, like, how many times are these towns in the vicinity of Salem's Lot just so tired of their shit? Like, another supernatural nonsense thing happened here. I guess we have to now change our lives. It's just about these 2 guys who like live in a nearby town who like a local person is trying to drive near Salem's Lot, and then his car is stranded and he comes to get help, and his wife and daughter are left behind. The guys are like, "You idiot." And they try to help him go rescue his wife and daughter from Salem's Lot before they get vamped up. So it's like just the towns around there they know that it's happening, and they're just like, we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a good short if you want to make like an indie short, be like a monotonous like life where they're just like farming or something, and then the ground rumbles, and they're like, "Oh, the warm god woke up again."
Oh, here he is.
Back to the
here
pile.
I go killing again. And then another interesting thing, there's a TV show from a couple years back called Chapel Wait, which is actually an adaptation of what is it? An adaptation of the short story Jerusalem's Lot. So you're wondering, how do they get 10 episodes out of a short story? Yeah, they milk it. Like it's a lot of sitting around waiting, hoping that something happens. But it's pretty interesting so far. It's got like Adrian Brody in it. I want to say, what's her name? From Schitt's Creek, Emily, was it Hampshire? Yeah, Emily Hampshire. She's like in it. It's just basically about like a really stretched out version of Jerusalem's Lot, the story. Only Adrian Brody's the Charles Boone, who's the main character. He has kids now because that gives him extra skin in the game, I guess. He didn't have those. He just had like a manservant named Calvin. He didn't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say I'm only a few episodes in, and they're strongly implying that they're going to do something that I think is dumb.
Okay.
Do you want me to say what I think it is?
Yeah,
I think
you have
doing?
to now.
I think they're bringing vampires into it.
Oh no.
I'm like, the whole point of Jerusalem's Lot was like, there's other evil things going on besides vampires. Like, then it just makes it seem like Barlow's just like a copycat. It's like, yo, I heard some other vampires showed up. I'm going to go be a vampire there too. So it's kind of, if it does go that way, I'm going to be kind of disappointed. We'll see how they execute it, but it seems like that's the direction they're going right now.
Great.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how can you have Jerusalem's Lot without vampires? It's like, I don't know. Stephen King did it decades ago. So yeah, Chapel Wait. I don't know which streaming that you can get it. I actually, right now I have MGM Plus add-on for Amazon Prime. And that's where I found it because I want to watch that show From. The new season just came out for From.
Okay.
So I've been watching that.
Okay.
So that's how I was doing it.
So do you like From?
I do.
Okay. I like From. Don't ruin it for me.
Okay.
I'm only like 6 episodes in.
I envy your journey. It's a very good.
Okay,
journey.
cool. So I'm like, I like this, but like this could get dumb quick. So I was kind of like, I need to like, there's like 3 seasons. Like I need to find someone else that knows about this. I am getting sick of all the streaming services. But you know,
I actually went to cancel my MGM Plus and they're like, how about if you just pay us a lot less for a few months and then rethink it? I'm like, sure, I'll pay you like $2 for a few months and see how it
it's
feels.
like
about
wimpy. It's like, I'll gladly pay you for a cheeseburger on Tuesday.
It's like, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Thank you. That's it.
Don't misquote my man Wimpy.
Don't fuck the wimpy quote up.
But yeah, no. So I guess if you have MGM Plus already, then somehow, that Chapel Wait's on there. I recommend it. It's very atmospheric.
I was watching it through other means that now I have to get MGM Plus, so I'll leave it at that.
Oh, well, what do you know?
I'm a man of means.
Well, I think that's it for our special Salem's Lot theme segment. Good luck. Try that in a small town. In parentheses, leverage its pre-existing history of ancient evil to take it over with vampires.
I can't wait for the music on this one. I'm going to have a field day.
Well, all I have to say to you is good luck. Try that in a small town.
Yeah.
In parentheses, leverage its pre-existing history of ancient evil to take it over with vampires.
Read my mind.
Well, I know we're kind of running long for one of our intermission episodes, but I do have one more segment if you'll indulge me.
I will. Not.
It's
Kidding.
Oh no. It's time for the Tubituaries, and buddy, I'm hoping that some of these aren't real because
It has to be fake.
It's devastating to do this during the month of October, man. So many horror things are about to get taken down. So I'm just gonna go in the random order that the Leaving Soon gives me on Tubi. So starting out with a really painful one, The Evil Dead, Poltergeist, but it looks like the remake, so that's fine. House on Haunted Hill, The Frighteners. Here's one that'll hurt you. Ghosts of Mars.
That's bullshit.
This wedding is horseshit.
I feel like if you and I scrape together some money over 10 years,
didn't want
we could just
salmon.
buy it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Ghosts of Mars. We could just buy the rights to it. Night of the Demons, but the remake, so don't be too worried about that. The remake of Fright Night, Resident Evil. So yeah, some people out there are probably gonna be disappointed by that. 30 Days of Night. Speaking of vampire movies.
Hey.
The Hills Have Eyes remake, so not a huge loss there, but you know how it is. They Live. Speaking of John Carpenter, Christine. So these are pretty painful ones. Interview with a Vampire. Planet Terror, one half of the Grindhouse feature. Village of the Damned, but like the late 80s, early 90s remake. I can't remember when that one came out. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Three from Hell. So both of the Rob Zombie fans out there. John Carpenter's Vampires. That's another one that's going to hurt you. I know how you feel about that.
I love James Woods, and I'm not even going to apologize for it.
That's fine.
Him as an action hero is such a ridiculous concept to me. And it has one of the weird Baldwins.
One of the Baldwins may be present. Really doing the hard sell on that, huh? What is it here? The Skeleton Key, which is kind of a creepy ghost body swap story, kind of. Tales from the Hood, Mind Warp, Hostel Part 3, so no one's going to weep for that. Lake Placid, the final chapter. I don't know what number that is. The Night of the Living Dead remake. I just watched that.
Well, good call on you getting through that.
I know. Good on me, I guess.
Yeah.
Speaking of good, The Good Son. Rookie of the Year. Not a horror movie, but Lake Placid 2. Nightwing. It's like, but not that one. Oh no, speaking of Stephen King adaptations, it might not be very good. The Dark Tower. But then Stephen King adaptations that are good. Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile. So two painful losses there. For the fans of Rob Zombie, both of his Halloweens, Halloween and Halloween 2 are leaving. So run, don't walk to Tubi to watch this. Insidious, The Last Key. The Last House on the Left remake. So Shane, I know you probably really love that one.
Yeah, I love it.
The Hills Have Eyes 2, which is the sequel to the remake of Hills Have Eyes. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Beer Fest, not a horror movie, but still a bummer. Dead Silence, the Mary Shaw one. That some people think that's scary. It Follows. That's a rough one to lose.
Yeah, that's tough.
No, Slither's leaving. I love Slither. How can they do this to me?
I'll have to give that a watch again. I haven't seen that in a while.
Oh, here's one that's going to make you sad, even though it's not a horror movie. Last Man Standing.
No.
Oh, speaking of Grindhouse.
Actually,
Death
dude, I
Proof
just
is out
watched that
here.
like 6 months ago.
Oh, then you don't have to watch it again. You only need to watch it once every decade, right?
Yep.
Death Proof, like I said. From Hell. Life, which is kind of an interesting like creature feature in space movie. Wreck? No, not Wreck. Let's see. Let's just try to skim these. This is taking too long. Hopefully most of these won't actually leave. Oh, The Eye, the movie where Jessica Alba gets a haunted eyeball.
What? What year did that come out?
Can I click on it to see? Let me see. 2008.
Damn it, Jessica Alba, you're safe.
Safe from what?
Our ridicule.
Oh, yeah. I would have vetoed that anyway.
Well, you let
man,
that
it
ship
put me-
happen, so.
Yeah, well, that's why I have to be more careful now. What do we got? Oh, Lake Placid 3. This is a real purge of the Lake Placid series.
Yeah, it sounds like a studio got sold or the rights got moved.
Probably just renegotiating, hopefully. The Collection. Oh, Rec 4. So I'm assuming I'm going to see other Recs here. So there's a lot of animated Batman movies. I'm not going to go into them all, but if you like animated Batman movies, you might be losing some.
Like the good ones.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, Rec 2 and Rec 3 and Lake Placid versus Anaconda. So again, yeah, it seems like we really lost out on some studios here. John dies at the end. That's pretty good. I think I'm probably going to just call it.
John Dies at the End was a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of these ones are starting to look a little bit like nonsense.
What was that? What was that movie? Maybe just John Dies at the End. Is that the one with the actor is the kid that died because the car ran him over?
No, that was Odd Thomas.
Odd Thomas. I love that movie.
Yeah, that's a really good movie.
Thank you.
And a terrible way to die in real life, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to call it now because
Sure.
not most of these movies that I'm seeing just aren't standing out, and I don't want to waste too much time just going through. Yeah, some interesting looking ones, but like nothing that's like that we need. Oh, wait, never mind. I thought it was Zodiac, but it's Awakening the Zodiac. Oh no, The Old Dark House. I love this movie. It's a 1960s like horror comedy thing. It's kind of silly. I have it on Blu-ray. So I guess I don't need to watch it here.
You should create your own streaming service.
Sure. That's how those work. Yeah, we'll just call it there. If there's anything that I see that stands out, I'll post it on one of our socials or something. Because like a lot of these are looking like rip-off studio stuff. Like nothing that really stands out. So we'll let them go.
Yeah.
So there you go. Those are our Tubituaries. RIP to some real ones.
Ain't that the truth? There's a lot more than I thought, especially for October. I figured they would like double down on the horror.
Maybe that's
space.
why they're like threatening to get rid of them, because like the studios are like, you'll keep them because it's October. And it's like, yeah, watch us. Bet.
True. Bet. Yeah, bet.
Well, hold on a second. Let me get Darkside Dave back here to help us do our outro.
Oh, jeez.
Wait, you don't want Darkside Dave to do our outro for us?
I just know his throat hurts.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but he's a professional.
He's a trooper.
Yeah. Dave, get over here. Stop waiting for the pre-order of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero to download. We didn't pay for that edition. You don't get 3 days early access.
Oh, no.
How could you do this to me? I was promised video games at or before the day of release.
So you're going to get it on the day of release. You have to relax and be patient. We have Space Marine 2 to finish.
Yes, for the Emperor. Then Goku will have to wait. Anyways, this has been another episode of the Dark Side Drive-In Intermission. These have been your hosts, the Fools for Schools of Ghouls, Stefan.
Hey, thanks, Darkside Dave. It sounds like you're really pushing through, even though your throat hurts.
That's because I'm Venmo'd many bones for this, so I have to do it. And your other host, Shane.
You know, Dave, I was trying to think of a question I could ask you that would take you a long time to answer, so you have to talk through it. But I think I'll let you slide this time, Dave.
I appreciate it. I have to go and watch the download bar for this pre-order purchase
Oh my
that
God.
I've made Stefan make. Bye.
Oh, yeah, he's just sitting only a couple inches from the screen. Luckily, he doesn't have eyes.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he doesn't have eyes. Maybe at one point he had eyes.
Yeah, that's what our moms told us growing up. If we sat too close to the TV, we'd have no eyes. And we'd also be extra dimensional creatures. So a little bit of both.
That's what my nana always told me. You sit too close to TV, you turn to an extraplanar being, and you lose your eyes.
that old chestnut.
That old adage.
Some of that folksy wisdom right there.
It was it. You can't swim 30 minutes after eating. Don't sit too close to TV. You turn into an extraplanar being. The drain in the shower can swallow you. What was the other one? Trying to think of some other good ones from when you were a kid.
I don't know. Probably something like don't eat all the berries you find in the woods.
Don't trust
someone
clowns.
will kill you. You can trust clowns, but don't trust carnies.
Ooh, it's a very distinct difference.
Yeah, it's different. All right, let's get out of here. It's the middle of the night for us.
Sure is.
For the listener, it could be any time of day. It could even be morning.
It's whenever you cool cats feel like listening.
Yeah. I can't remember what our sign-off phrase is now.
I don't remember.
We can't do pools out, ghouls out, because the pools are definitely in.
So I had one, and you didn't react to it, and I didn't want to do it, but here's my pitch, and let us know. Gourds out, hordes out.
Okay. Because of the gourds you put out for the Halloween
Yeah, because of pumpkins,
season.
yeah.
And we even ride that one into November because of squash.
Yeah.
All right. Gourds out, hordes out it is for now.
Can you imagine that t-shirt?
Sure. The only problem is it won't play well in like Mongolia. So we have a different kind of horde around these parts.
Yeah. I don't know if I talked about this on the show, but sometimes I get into like the weird side of YouTube, which is more often than not. And apparently Genghis Khan was the greatest humanitarian to ever live. He reduced more carbon emissions in his lifetime than like pretty much like the next couple like 100 years combined, because of all the people he killed. So they were producing less CO2.
That's one way to do it.
It's like one of my favorite statistics ever. That's so funny to me. Probably says more about me than it does about Genghis Khan, but what are you going to do? Bye.
I mean, it doesn't. It does. Yeah, it's that I'd rather do the hordes out, hordes out one than sign off with your random fact about how many people Genghis Khan killed and how good that was for the environment.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Yeah, all right. Let's just sign off on that. That's a good note to go out on. See ya.
Have a good night. Bye.
He thought he was in control. How wrong he was.
Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club. From Dynamics Media comes a horror cyclopedia, watching movies from the gates of hell, covers ripped from a blockbuster shell. Officer Bosch is the only good cop, Jugs and the stuff just can't be stopped. Things get hairy and the werewolf's there. Turn the corner and the prowler is there. It's the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club. Shane's the one who runs the show. He produces and keeps the flow. The Savini of the ones and twos. Only Jack Cordell has bigger shoes. Steffet does the bulk of the research. His descriptions just can't be besmirched. Lots of synopses are the top of lore. Just like Lamson, you'll be begging for more. It's the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in. Come to the dark side, drive-in. It's the dark side, drive-in movie club.
From the deepest corner of the darkest universe, Two brave hosts battle through nameless hordes of ghoulish monsters most foul, all to bring you the eternal glory of the Dark Side Drive-In.
It's the Dark Side Drive-In. It's the Dark Side Drive-In. Come to the Dark Side Drive-In. It's the Dark Side Drive-In Movie Club. It's the Dark Side Drive-In. Come to the Dark Side Drive-In. It's the Dark Side Drive-In. It's the Dark Side Drive-In Movie Club.